All right, welcome to Heath Barton Hoopcast. I'm your host, John Heath. Episode 8 is here with former Illini point guard Tony Wysinger. He was a point guard back in the 80s. He was an amazing guest. We got into all kinds of things. I mean, I remember him from when I was little, and so I wanted to get him on. I always had a lot of respect for him. He was a very, very good, very, very underrated point guard that actually led the Big Ten in assists. He was at the University of Illinois, so great career. We talk about his childhood growing up, things like that. There is a sport that he excelled at and was very, 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 very good at that he thought he was going to do in college. And you're going to be very surprised when you hear what it is. But it's not a hidden talent because everybody knows, but he is great at an individual sport. I'll let you listen to see what it is. But it's very unique. And so anyways, he gets into that. He talks about what kind of led him to Illinois, tells some great recruiting stories. Coach Henson, his favorite games, favorite moments, things like that. Teammates, the whole 9 yards. And it's very, very entertaining and a great listen. But then his post-playing career is also very, very unique. He talks about what exactly happened and what a team that he had that really led him to have a passion for coaching. He talks about his coaching career since he's been done playing. Talks about meeting with Bruce Weber about, I don't want to give too much away, but talks about the possibility that was there for him to be an assistant under Bruce Weber when Bruce was at Illinois. He tells that story. It's a very, very good story. And then finally he gets into a big-time health scare that he's had here in the last year or so. He's doing better now, but very, very serious medical situation that his players weren't even aware he was going through at first, but he's feeling much, much better now and everything. We recorded this back in the late summer, so it was still really, really fresh back then, but he tells the story, and it's very inspirational because he's just a tough dude, and he's all about basketball, about coaching, but it's a great listen to hear his medical situation he went through as well, and then we're just glad that he's back to normal, feeling great. So it's a great listen. Hope you guys enjoy it. Again, I love talking to all these guys, and his story is very, very inspirational, and he's a great guy. So thanks a lot, Tony Wysinger, and hope you enjoy it. Okay, I'm here with Tony Wysinger, former Illini point guard. It's awesome having you on here. How's it going, Tony?
Doing well. Appreciate you having me on your show.
Absolutely. I have a memory, one of my first basketball games I went to in the 80s when I was little, and your name's always the first one that pops in my head whenever I just remember going, and I just remember Tony Wysinger. That was the name I remembered out of all those. I was little and everything, but always had a lot of respect for you as a player and everything, and so yeah, I'm thrilled to have you on, and we've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about too. So if you don't mind, the way I usually start these off is I just kind of have people give a little background, kind of like their upbringing, things like that, where they played in high school and middle school on up, and then I just kind of dive into all kinds of stuff. So if you don't mind, maybe starting us off with that.
Yeah. I'm from Peoria, so one of the two big schools in Peoria was Peoria Manual and Peoria Central. We ended up playing Manual in 1982, and it was one of the two teams that was going to go to state, and Manual ended up beating us by like 20 in the super sectional finals, or sectional finals, and then they went on to play at the state finals in 82, and then in 83, we played them in the regional finals, down 12, came back and won with 6 minutes left. One of our big guns, Ivan Stone, hit 12 points in a row to bring us back, and literally that was one of the games I fouled out in, and I kind of thought, as far as my high school career was going to be over. We were down 12 with 6 minutes to go. I thought, I had three schools I was really looking at that point in time. Naval Academy, Illinois Wesleyan, and a school in Iowa called Marycrest. Those are the only schools I had contact with, and Coach Bisher had some other schools he just hadn't told me yet. We came back and won that game, then we went on our state run, and I was very fortunate that our state tournament that year and other years was carried by Channel 9.
Mm-hmm.
WGN was nationwide, so it was games that were seen across the country. I go from 3 schools recruit me to having a great state tournament to about 55. And
Right.
Illinois had been involved. I just didn't know it since the Pekin Holiday Tournament that year. We had won the Pekin Holiday Tournament. So once the season was over, we played in the ICBA All-Star games and the All-State stuff. We started doing the recruiting. And honestly, my first choice, because I was from Peoria and I was a big Bradley fan,
Right.
was Bradley. And went there for my first visit, and they did something that, it just turned me off. They basically said, we're giving you 10 days to decide you come in here or not. And, I do understand recruiting now a lot better than when I was 18, but it just didn't set right because I said, well, I got 4 other schools I need to go visit. And, Illinois was one, Northern Illinois, Western, and it was, an Illinois Wesleyan. So I had other schools to visit, and they were like, well, we're going to give you 10 days, and if you come, fine. If you don't, you got other recruits.
Huh.
So after I went home after the visit, which I had a great visit up there, I told Coach Bishop, take them off the list. If they can't wait until I look at these other options, then, that's the school I'm not going to.
Right.
And then I had the chance to go down and visit Illinois, and the thing that stuck in my brain was when we went downstate, we took a bus. It took us about an hour 30, hour 40 minutes to get there. And again, we had a great time because we got to the state championship game. But when they came to pick me up, Coach Nagy and Coach Henson, they flew down in their private jet.
Ooh, nice.
The school jet, and we flew back, and it took us 11 minutes. And I remember as an 18-year-old, I was like, this is pretty nice.
Yeah.
Flew over the campus, and I remember Bradley's campus, and they said that because they knew I was being recruited by Bradley. They were saying Bradley's campus could fit in one huge block of Illinois' campus.
Yeah.
And again, those things are impressionable to an 18-year-old. And once I got to meet all the guys, Doug Altenberger was already there from Peoria. I got to meet Bruce, and Bruce sat down and took me around, and I went on Memorial Stadium, and he told me, we are needing another guard because Derek Harper's not coming back. And, I followed a little bit of Illinois ball, but not that much. So, literally, I didn't know who Derek Harper was.
Really?
But he was like, he's our guy, but he's getting ready to go pro, and we don't need another guard. And so that night, I had made up my mind where I was going. But I wanted to finish the visit, so I didn't say anything. I just told him when I got back home, I would, make a decision. And my mind was made up then that was the school I was going to go to. I had one more visit, went to Northern Illinois, and actually I did Northern before Illinois, and that was a bad omen. I got on the plane to fly, and coming back, my dad drove me up there, met with Coach McDougal and their staff, and I flew back. And the plane's engine, they were burning excess fuel off the engine. So I look outside, the engine's on fire in my mind. So we're not taking off. And I go, get the stewardess. I said, the plane's on fire. She was like, no, we're just burning off some excess fuel. And I kept saying, well, that's the sign. I'm not coming here.
So that was not a private jet.
No, that was it was a regular, jet engine that I flew back to Peoria. scared the whole time because of,
Oh my.
of the engine on fire as I saw it.
Right.
I made the decision to go to Illinois, and it was the best decision I could have made.
Right. Man, I've always tell these guys I have on here, man. I mean, I say it every episode, so it's getting redundant, but I love hearing recruiting stories, man. They're just, and everybody's got a different one, and it's just, yeah, they're awesome to listen to. Well, when you were, if we backtrack just a smidge here, like when, how young when you started playing ball, and when did you like other sports too? Was it always basketball? I mean, when did you really take a liking to it and want that to be, you know, something you eventually played after high school?
Grade school.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but it was bowling that I really loved.
I was going to ask you that. I was going to save it till the end, but 60. Okay, is it true? 66, 300 games.
68 now.
68 now. That's amazing.
300 games. It was something that I grew up on. And basketball just was a byproduct of me playing. And me and my brother, Kenny, talked about, you know, my dad was working 2 jobs to make sure ends would meet. And we were like, you know what? We're going to college and we're going to go somewhere where he doesn't have to pay. And so I didn't know at that time you could have went to college for bowling. If I would have known that at that time, I would have put all my energies into that because that's what I love to do. But when I got into high school, we made the fact that we were going to do whatever we had to do so a pop wouldn't have to take us to go to college. So we put everything we had into basketball. And both of us ended up getting scholarships.
Right. That's yeah, I saw that and I was like, oh, I got to ask him about that, about bowling. So I guess whenever you're kind of going from high school to college, what was the biggest adjustment you felt like going playing in Peoria and then going to Champaign?
Peoria, it was always the city of guards. Really didn't have a lot of big men. If you had someone that played in the post, that gave you a leg up on everybody, especially in the early 80s and late 80s. If you think about it, there's so many guards that have come out of the Peoria area with Doug Altenberger, Doug Lee, who played at Purdue, Mike Robinson, who was small forward but was a guard as well when he played at Purdue, and Todd Foster, who played at Washington High School, Howard Nathan at DePaul, David Booth, Billy Coleman, A.J. Guyton, and the list just goes on and on. Just is a city of guards. And our point guard, who was the best guard in the city, in my opinion, was Steve Harper. And he came out of grade school and he started varsity from day one. And I didn't play my freshman.
Right.
I was good slaughters, and I went from 5'5" to 5'10" in about 3 months, and my knees and everything hurt so bad I just couldn't play. Yeah.
Okay. Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
When were you 5'5"? How and then what age were you when you went from 5'5" to 5'10"?
I was 13 going. It was my 8th grade year going into my freshman year. I was so small. I played back then. They played lightweights and heavyweights. I started lightweight as an 8th grader, so I was just that small. And it started in my 8th grade year, but over the summer, I went up to Central, and I was playing baseball. That was the other sport I played, baseball. So I was playing summer league, and I went up this year, just got the job, and my baseball coach introduced me to him, and played a little bit in the summer, didn't play a lot because I was still doing baseball. And this year came to me and he says, when you get to 5'10", this is a true story. He said, when you get to 5'10", you'll be able to play for me. And so I was 5'5", and I had that I was just slaughtered, and I shot up to 5'10" by the end of my freshman year.
Yeah.
And I've been 5'10" ever since.
Yeah.
But
like your body hurt him. As soon as he said that to you, you shot up 5 inches. So.
but that's what happened, and it and I didn't, like I said, I didn't play my freshman year, sophomore year. I dressed sophomores, and I was the backup point guard at that point in time, and it really helped me as far as my point guard skills. But I started shooting the basketball and really worked on shooting between my sophomore and junior years because Steve Harvey, again, who I thought was the best point guard in the city, he was the starting point guard. So I knew I wasn't going to really play a lot of point at that point in time. So I really worked on my shooting, and that's in high school for my junior and senior years, I was a shooting guard.
Yeah.
And then I converted because of my size into point guard, but I always could shoot. So when the three-point line came, it was a welcome addition.
Right. Well, I mean, I'm looking. We won't get to Illinois stuff quite yet, but I'm looking at your Illinois field goal percentages, and your career field goal percentage is 51%. You know, so I mean, for somebody 5'10", that's amazing. That's a great shooter. You know, and okay, I feel like I'm skipping ahead here, but it says your 3-point percentage was that your senior year. Is that when that started? And because at Illinois it says your 3-point percentage was 46 or 467. So.
Yeah, well, the 3-point came in I want to say either sophomore or junior year.
Yeah.
Junior year, because sophomore year we played Kentucky in the tournament, and then we played Georgia my sophomore year. Then junior year, Georgia was our junior year. So sophomore year we got to the Final 16, we lost to Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
And junior year, we played Georgia. You know, I get some of those mixed up, but we played a lot of good teams. And then my senior year, of course, we ended up playing Austin, which I still am trying to forget, but it's part of history.
Right. Yeah. You're talking about your size a little bit. Like, what kind of and this could maybe help other kids that maybe are a little bit smaller too, but, you know, when you got to college, what kind of challenges did you face being 5'10", just as far as like, you know, getting your shot off quicker, things like that, you know, from a skill standpoint?
The one thing that I made sure of again was, and I give Coach Henson a lot of credit, always had me put arcs on the ball. If I've gotten to a slump, and he would always show me the arcs compared to a flat shot.
Mm-hmm.
And showing how a flat shot will skim the rim instead of hitting it at an angle and have a chance to go in. And playing the point guard position, he always talked about not just the shooting aspect, but taking care of the basketball. He talked about every possession before the three-point shot was worth 1.6 points per possession. As a freshman, that made no sense to me. What he was saying and what he was talking about. But I remember our first practice, another true story. I'm running the point for the backup team, if you will, and I see a guy cutting underneath the basket, and I throw a underhanded, no-look pass to the kid cutting to the basket. I think it was Reggie Woodward.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting to the basket, catches it, shoots the layup. So I'm thinking I just did something pretty damn good. And Henson stopped practice, and Lauren Tate was there. And Henson says to Lauren, I could smell the hot dog. No, I could smell the mustard when the hot dog walked in the gym.
Jeez, Louise.
Get out. And he sat me down, and I'm sitting there like, I don't get it. And so I was struggling at that point. But he was trying to get me to understand that one-handed pass, if that guy is guarded or someone steps in the way, I can't bring that pass back. And that stuck with me more my sophomore and junior and senior years than my freshman, because I didn't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's just the staple point of what I do as far as coaching. We talk about the value of the basketball all the time.
Yeah.
And we set goals as far as, you know, how many turnovers you want a game. But Coach Henson is one of the reasons, and one of my assistant coaches found this, and I don't even know if it's still true or not, but he found that I have the best assist turnover ratio in Illinois history, which was 5-1.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you sure that's true? And he was like, Coach, here it is. And he showed it to me. And I was like, well, okay, I'll handle that. I'll keep it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
the value in the basketball, Coach Henson was the one that really pushed that element and that emphasis, and we still talk about that today.
Yeah. I was going to ask you about him, and we'll get into your coaching here too a little bit, but maybe talk a little bit about Coach Henson and kind of relationship you guys had, because coach point guard relationships are extremely important. So, what kind of relationship do you guys have as a player, and then maybe after you were done playing as well? Because I know that a lot of times while you're playing, there are, just like you said, there's things where you don't agree with at the time, and you get a little older and realize it's something different. So, maybe talk about him a little bit.
Well, Coach Henson's relationship with, I believe, every player as a freshman, sophomore, junior is business. It is a business to him, to his coaching staff. I think Coach Nagy, and for me, Coach Hull is the only, as far as the, not graduate assistants, but assistant coaches, he's the only one that is still alive, because Coach Collins passed, Coach Nagy, and Coach Henson passed within a year. So I lost the coaching staff, and me and Coach Hull still stay in contact. Coach Lowe, I stay in contact with him. Coach Krebs, we talk every now and then. So I stay in contact with some of the coaches, but Coach Henson, it was business, and I had a better relationship with my high school coach throughout my 4 years because he made it like that. But I didn't understand it as a business, and then when I became a senior, it was a relationship. It just changed, and I could see that's just the way he did things. And my relationship with Coach Henson is skyrocketed because I'm a people person. So I struggled my freshman, sophomore, junior years because I could never really get close. It was a business to him. But when you become a senior and you put in that work and you know what he's wanting from you, relationship changed. And relationship with him, with Mary, and as far as his kids and everybody, it all changed. And I am still in contact with Mrs. Henson to this day. She came down to see us play at Lakeland, and Coach Coombs, I'm still in contact with him. He came down to watch us get our butts kicked, but they did come down and watch. But that's the type of family atmosphere that you have with the Illinois family.
Yeah, that's great. They, it's fun listening to people about him. I'm looking at your senior year. It was very, 11.3 points and 6.4 assists. I mean, that's a very 6.4 assists is great in college level. I mean, so yeah, that's a great year.
It was me and Everett Stevens going for the assist lead in the Big Ten, and I ended up beating him out. So some of those things I can remember, but the funny part, some of these kids that I'm coaching and been recruiting, I have a poster in my office, and it was back from the 83-84 season, so my freshman year. And one of the new recruits looks at the poster. He says, "Coach, you played at Illinois?" And I was like, "Yeah, I played." Now, he wasn't. Yeah. I didn't think about this. He wasn't born when I was playing. So yeah. I recognize to think he doesn't know anything about me and me playing at Illinois or anything about me. So he asked a simple question. Now, Coach, did you play or were you just on the poster? One of my assistants jumped in front of me because I said, "Wait a minute, son, let me help you with." And I was getting ready to run it down. Coach told me, one of my assistants said, "Look, you need to go look up Coach Y on Google or YouTube, and it'll show you everything you need to show." And so, literally, I've never looked up games. I had never done that. In the 40 years that I have been gone from Illinois, I never looked up games like the Pittsburgh game or the Northeastern game or the Alabama-Austin. I never looked those games up. But because that young man asked that question, I started looking up games and sending in our group chat games that we played, even the Iowa game, even though we lost.
Mm-hmm.
I did all of that stuff. And so now there's a new respect because they're like, oh, no, you were out there playing for real. Yeah, I was. I was out there playing for real. But that was the question. Were you really a player, or were you just on the poster?
Yeah.
So that was funny for me.
Well, you got to be a pretty humble guy for your players to not even know you played there. I mean, is that just something that you just want to, you don't want, I mean, how come it's not something you want to talk about, just humble, or what is that?
That's interesting you say that. My first year here at Illinois, and I've had some great coaches. David Booth was an assistant coach for me. A.J. Guyton was an assistant coach. Mark Rashaw, who played at Wisconsin, was an assistant coach with me. So I've had great assistants, Fred Dixon and Dave Best, some of the other coaches that have helped out, Chris Williams, and the coaches I got now, Tim Sack, John Davis, and another kid that played for me here, Kendall Davis. Great assistants. My first year, the kids still didn't know I played at Illinois. I played 83 through 87 and graduated in 88. Well, in 1999, that's when I took over at ICC. And I had to literally, to get the respect of all of those players, I had to play all of them one-on-one because they didn't think I played. And I went 4-1 against the 15 guys. And the guy I lost to, I convinced him all he could do was play in the post. And mentally, that's what he should have been. He was 6'4", 40-inch vertical, about 225. And he took me in the post and beat me. And I just told him, I said, yeah, well, that's all you can do. And for whatever reason, he decided to shoot a jump shot. And we played. And I beat him 15-2 because I didn't miss any more shots.
Yeah.
But I had to get their respect because of playing. They didn't know I played. So, and that's just, a lot of kids don't look at history. And I'm a big history buff of basketball. I'm a sponge. I learn off anybody because if I think it's going to help me as well as help my team, I will adapt and use it. So they don't look at a lot of history, and that's something that I got to work with these guys on so they'll know what basketball is and why it's important to make free throws and why it's important not to turn the basketball over and to box out and to go read. So all these little things, because right now they're watching the 1 versus 1 thing you see on YouTube and I banned that from here in my gym. And they're like, well, why can't I play 1 versus 1? I said, well, in what game can you just shoot and never rebound?
Yes.
I don't. There's not a game. If you're playing in a live game, when can you just shoot the ball and nobody goes and rebounds? I said, you're going to play one-on-one, you got to go rebound. Now, once you rebound, you can check the ball up, but you got to go rebound. And if you're playing that, that's 1,000 up downs if I catch you.
Yeah.
So we banned it, and if they do it and I catch them, they know what they got.
Yeah. Yeah, that's great. You know, it'd have been hard for me not to just that first day of practice just go in there and be like, hey, my senior year I led the Big Ten in assists. I'll sit down and shut up.
You know what? I probably could have went that route with some of the guys, but for me, I've never tooted my own horn in the sense of, hey, this is what I did. If someone found out about it and shared it with the guys, that's fine.
Right.
And I go with that. And if someone were to ask me, and I had a couple of guys ask me, well, Coach, do you got any film? So I was like, yeah, this film, I just never looked at it. So literally about a month ago, I looked at the Pittsburgh game. I had 16. I had never watched the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Guys.
It's the thing too. It's like, you know, if you're a good coach, I agree with what you're saying. I was just kind of joking around. You know, if you go in there and get their respect, just by the kind of coach you are, then it shouldn't matter what kind of player you were. You know what I mean? And then if they find out, then great. But yeah, that's
you know, it should be like that. But
right.
This new generation,
I agree.
They're more inclined to see you do something, so they'll get you gain their respect by what you have done,
Right.
more than them just going by what you say.
Yeah. You may have touched on it a little bit, but as a player, when you're playing in Illinois, do you have a favorite game, favorite like individual moment that sticks out to you?
That's a great question. One of the games, because it was a game I had, in my career, I never was the guy that was taking the shots. I was the guy making the pass to the guy that's going to take the shot. But against Missouri, and we never lost Missouri. I always make sure that anyone I talk to about the Missouri game, I let them know we never lost to them during my 4 years.
Yeah.
The last game we played my senior year, I hit 2 big jump shots and free throws to close the game out. And I remember Coach Collins, he told me in the game versus Iowa, and he said, you were 13 of 16 from the field. He said, you should, you're hot like that, don't ever not.
Yeah.
You got to shoot more. It just wasn't my nature. I was shooting because I was open, but not because I was looking for shots. Well, against Missouri, within our offense, I was looking for shots to help close the game out. And that was a big thing for me because, again, I was always making this effort more to George or to Bruce, Doug. Or I got, I'm going to call it, I got high off of them. And some of those I watched, I could think on the bench, get up and going crazy when they shot or make a play. I was the ultimate team player. I was, but that particular, I remember, and I was right.
Yeah.
That's what you're gonna have to do for it.
Right. Well, I mean, we talked about this a little bit already, but when you're playing and things like that, when did you kind of maybe think that coaching may be something you'd be interested in?
I had been done with playing, and I was working at something here in town. At that time, they were called Silco. Their name is Ameren now, utility. And one of my influential gentlemen in my life, his name is Dana Davis. Nickname is Double D, and I call him the mayor of Peoria because he just knew everybody. And he called me one day and just like, hey, I got a program down at the Boys and Girls Club, and it's after school dealing with underprivileged kids and working with them, and they have monies to run a basketball program. I think you would be great with that. And I was like, all right, let me take a look at it. And I said, well, I've still got a full-time job. He said, no, this will be after work. I said, all right, let me try it. And went down to the Boys and Girls Club on South End, Peoria, and that's where it first happened. I started coaching there. I did a stint at Bradley for 2 years. And it was fun. I liked some of the things I did. Still in touch with some of those guys that I coached. But it was the Boys and Girls Club. Bradley was a scratch on that surface of liking some of the things I was doing. But the Boys and Girls Club, and there was one thing that made me know this is what I want to do. We had a tournament in Pontiac, and we had practiced 2 weeks before, and I told the guys, look, we're leaving at 7 a.m. So I'm not calling you. The van leaves at 7, and if you're not here, you're not going. Right. That morning, I got down about 6:30 in the morning, got the van ready. At 7, we got ready to leave. I had 5 kids. Mm-hmm. We had a team of 12.
Wow.
We went up to Pontiac and won the tournament. Played 4 games.
with 5 kids and had to use strategy, had to really look at certain things, and I had to coach. I couldn't just let them play. So I had to use my timeouts. Because I know they're going to get tired. But we made it to the championship game, and we won it. And driving back from Pontiac, every one of those guys was asleep within 20 minutes of leaving Pontiac. And I was just driving, and I'm responsible to get them home, so I can't, I got to be aware. And I was just thinking, man, this is really nice.
Right.
What I want to do. And it was with them, and I was just talking about being at the Boys and Girls Club. And within a week, Coach Herman had retired, and another gentleman named Mr. Junior Watkins, who's a Hall of Famer here in the area, called me and said, I think this would be a nice step for you if you're interested. And I put my application in, and I had the requirements were either a head coach in high school or college experience. So those 2 years at Bradley opened the door. And I started in 1999, and I've been here ever since. And I've had opportunities. I interviewed at Illinois once with Coach Weber. And Wayne was there, Wayne McLean.
Right.
He told me, if you're ever interested in, coaching at this level, the time is now. Because we're losing a guy, and we haven't filled it yet, and I think you'd be great for it. And all of a sudden, I go down to talk with Weber with what I thought was a 1-hour meeting. I was there for 6 hours.
Wow.
And they ended up, if I remember right, taking, was it Tracy? I think Tracy Webster.
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
Webster was at another school, and what they ended up doing was they switched things around because one coach came from Iowa, went to Painter. Painter then took Webster, and Webster came to Illinois, and it just didn't fit for me to go up there at that point in time. And my biggest thing has always been I love being a head coach where I can make decisions. But Illinois is always that could be a life-changing scenario. So I did go talk to him and see what the situation was. It just didn't work out for me.
Right. Well, if you were there 6 hours, you were a serious candidate for sure. I think that
I went up there at 11. Supposed to meet with him at 11, and 10. Met with him at 10. Me, Wayne, and another assistant, and I cannot think of his name, went to lunch. We came back. A guy was working on film exchange or film for their next opponent. They was kind of showing me how every coach does this. So every coach has 3 or 4 or 5 games that they will do the scout for. So they were showing me that. I went to a practice, met with all the guys. So, yeah, it went from I was supposed to meet with Weber to I was there all day. And somehow somebody found out I was there. So, what is it, WTVZ or something, or 43, whoever, I can't think. What's the channel that carries the Illini games up there?
Well, I mean, back then it would have been probably WCIA, I think, probably. Just the regular Channel 3, maybe, something like that.
Yeah.
But
WCIA, I believe it was.
Yeah.
They called me. I don't know how they got my phone number, but they called me and was on my way home, and they were asking me, we hear you were here interviewing for the assistant coaching job. And I was like, are you serious?
Yeah.
This is what we're hearing. We're just trying to confirm it. And once I confirmed it with them, I then had to call my AD. Because it was supposed to be just me and Weber talking, and I'm coming back. It blew up, and I had to tell my AD, yeah, I was supposed to go talk just to him. It went 6 hours, and now the TV station's calling, so it's going to get out that I'm one of the candidates. So I'm just letting you know I did go talk, and it just went long. And she was like, hey, I have no problem with that. I appreciate you letting me know. So, yeah, it went from, like you just said, simple to, yeah, it became a serious thing.
Right. So you waited till you knew that Channel 3 had already called you before you told the AD you were going.
And this was just, if you want to call it under the cover, it was just me and Weber supposed to meet.
Right.
What happened is Wayne called me and said, "Are you serious? Do you want to interview? If you do, I'll let Weber know." And I said, "Well, Coach, you think I got a shot?" And he was like, "Look, if there's going to be a time you got a shot, it's now.
Mm-hmm.
You look for somebody." I said, "Yeah, then I'm interested." And so Wayne let Weber know. He had my number, and Weber called me, asked, "Coach, I know you from when you played and this, because I was on staff with Katie and this, that, and the other. We would love to have you on campus. If you're interested, I'd like to sit down and get to meet you." And that's what it was supposed to be. And then it went from him and then all the other assistants, the coaches, and I was like, wow. And then the channel. So AD wasn't supposed to know because it was just supposed to be just talking.
Right,
Or it changed.
Yep. Well, if you're coaching, I'm kind of curious because my thoughts are more old school, things like that. But with you coaching the style now, do you consider yourself a little more old school with your approaches? Or because kids are changing, or they have changed a lot, and not necessarily like you were talking about, for the better, YouTube, all this good stuff. But do you prefer like an up-tempo, positionless kind of a deal, like the game's kind of evolving into, or do you like to try to stick back to like an old school approach, like
I have a lot of old school. I still believe in defense and rebounding. If you can't do that, I don't care who you are, you're not going. You can always find young men who put the ball in the basket. But if they can't guard and they don't have energy and effort, it doesn't make a difference. So you got to have those pieces. The positionless basketball, it's here. And you get the ball. As much as I want to play, 3 out, 2 in, that's not how all of it's played. Every now and then, if I have some post guys, like this year, we got 4 legit post guys, we may end up doing some 3 out, 2 in. But if we take 1 out and we got 4 out, 1 in, again, we'll make those adjustments. You really, like right now, I told my coach, all of our guys aren't. I got an idea of what we have, but I literally know what our offensive sets are going to be like until I get everybody here and I can put the puzzle together. The puzzle right now has about, 25 pieces missing because I don't know exactly what everybody can really do. I know the ones that are here now, I know what they could do, but I got 7 guys that are not even on campus yet.
Right.
So when they come, I can start thinking and sitting down with my coaches and like, you know what, because we got these post guys, we still are better at 4 out, 1 in. So let's find something that works with that. Or we got some real legit post guys. You do some screening across with big to big and play some high low, or so it just depends on what we find out we got. So that'll be important. But as a coach, I've learned over the years, you can have what you want to do. It always comes down to what you have, and then you make that adjustment.
Yeah. You feel like what do you feel is more rewarding, like winning when you're playing or winning as a coach?
Wow, that's a great question. Another one I've never really thought about.
Go back to a big Illinois win, and then go back to a big coaching win. Which one made you?
You know what? The sport win where you're playing and/or coaching. I know we played Michigan at Michigan, and we're supposed to lose. And I remember Jens Tiaba. I'm hollering for him because we're up maybe 4 or 5 with about a minute left in the game, and they're pressing. And I'm trying to get the ball from Jens because I know they're going to try to steal it from him. And I've looked for this in the recent couple of weeks here because of what the young man has said, and I can't find it. But Jens goes from half court, dribbling all the way down, and does a tomahawk dunk at Michigan to close the game out.
Yeah. can I tell you a quick story about that? I actually had him on a couple of weeks ago,
Okay.
and from Germany, and he told that story because I asked him, like, is there, like an individual moment that stands out, and that's what he named right there. He named that getting that ball.
The whole time he's dribbling, I'm hollering for him to get me the ball.
Yeah.
Less than a minute. It was a minute or less than a minute. I know they're going to have to foul me, and at that point in time, I was shooting maybe 85, 86% from the free throw line, and that was one of my things that got me to play my freshman year because I could make free throws. So, we didn't have the 35-second clock my freshman year. It came in the sophomore year, and that's actually when Michigan kind of took off because we couldn't hold the ball as long. We would hold it until we got the shot we wanted. But that 35-second clock, you had to speed things up. And that kind of helped Michigan as they got to running and doing their thing. But Jens got that ball. I remember Gary Grant was on that team, and they had some guys. And we had played well, and we had the lead. And I was trying to get the ball. Jens got that thing at half. He started dribbling, and I'm hollering and oh, Jens, ball. And he goes all the way down, and he tomahawks that dunk. That's the whole gym down.
Yeah.
I remember they came down. I believe they missed. We got the rebound. They had to foul. The game was over. That was a big win. Road wins are always big. So I would say that was a very satisfying win.
Yeah. He's probably thinking, hell, man, you guys should have been letting me dribble the whole time. Look what I just did, right?
He did not, because he would normally turn it over.
Exactly. Yeah.
If he's dribbling where he can get his hook shot off right around the rim, no problem. But it was like someone threw it to him because he was getting trapped and he was open. But then he turns and he just starts dribbling, and I'm like, no, yeah, I'm hollering. He kept going. But he finished it. It was a big time dunk.
Yeah, that's great. What about maybe recruiting, being recruited as a player versus having to recruit as a coach? Like what are some of the likes and dislikes from that whole standpoint?
The one big thing and the difference, I don't put the 10-day, I never do that. And it makes it in recruiting because I don't put, all right, you got 10 days to do it. I will tell someone, we are recruiting other people at your position, which is normally what you do, but I'm not going to put a time limit on it. Now, I may call you back within a week or 2 weeks just to see how things are going, but it only happens in the sense of a deadline if we didn't win a month or so and you still haven't made a decision, and I got someone who may be just as good or a little bit less than you, okay, I don't want to lose him because you're still waiting. So if you don't make that decision, within the next week or so, I got to move on. So I never put a 10-day limit on anyone, but I also let them know we are recruiting other guys. So it's up to you. If you like what you saw here at, ICC, then let's make a decision. If not, then if you want to go somewhere else, that's fine.
Yeah. But overall, do you enjoy that whole process though?
I like the process, and I'm going to say something, and people are going to be like, you learned this from who? I learned something, and again, I told you I'm a sponge. I'll listen to any and everybody, and things that people say that they'll resonate with me. Rush Limbaugh once said, and I'll be honest, I'm not a fan, but things people will say that, that makes sense. When you can say stuff from the heart, and you don't have to look down at a piece of paper to say it or to read it, people will believe you. And my recruiting here at ICC, I never have to write something down. I've been here long enough, and I know the ins and outs about Illinois Central College, that I don't have to write something down when I'm recruiting. So everything I'm talking about, I know they believe what I'm saying because I don't have to make it up. It is truthful, and I'll let kids know if you because we don't have dorm rooms, we have apartments. So if you've never cooked a meal before for yourself, if you've never woken up by yourself, meaning you set your alarm and get up, and or if you've never washed clothes before, this may not be the spot for you. I don't care how good you are, because these are things you have to be able to do. And I ask those questions as, for a recruit, because this is different than going to a Division I school that may be JUCO, or a Division I school, or Division II NCAA school, because they'll have dorm rooms and they'll have a cafeteria. At my level, at the Division II level of JUCO basketball, we cannot provide housing. They have to pay for that themselves, and we can't provide meals. We can provide meals on game days or when we travel. So now you got to be able to do some of those things. And if you got a kid who's never cooked before, I'll be up front. Son, I don't know if this is the spot for you.
Yeah.
You can't cook and you've never washed, and grandma or mom wakes you up every morning. That's all going to change. And if you can't handle that, I don't want to put you in a situation where you're going to fail.
Right. Yeah. You're not going to get spoiled here.
No, not
right.
at all.
Yeah. Well, we talked about like a favorite moment as a player. You talked about the Boys and Girls Club, things like that, but at ICC, do you have a favorite coaching, like a favorite game, favorite win as a coach?
Yes. We played a team. We were ranked in the top 10, and the team in Iowa, Kirkwood, who is a traditional power in Iowa and in the country. We went up there, and we had, in the previous 4 or 5 years, we were doing home and home, and we had lost 2 years in a row, so 4 games in a row. And then the fifth time we played them, kind of figured some things out of what they were doing, and we beat them. Then we lost to them at their place. We beat them at home, lost them at their place, and then we had the 06-07 team, which was ranked in the country, and we had a lot of guys. Matter of fact, that team, we had 7 guys that went D1. So we had a real good team, and we played Kirkwood at Kirkwood. They had never lost at home by more than 10 points under the and we beat them by 20 at their place. And the win was satisfying because as soon as the horn went off, they turned the scoreboard off, lights out, and it was like, yeah, it's time to go.
Yeah, that's great.
After we beat them, we then played them at home. They were up 17 in the first half. And we, I think we kind of we should beat them because we beat them by 20 at their place, and it just wasn't happening. And we started switching up some defenses and got it to about 8 points at half. And then in the second half, we ended up winning by 17. We go to their place because they didn't want to come home and home. We went back to their place the next year, beat them, and I talked to the coach and said, Coach, let's set up a home and home for next year instead of us just coming up here. And the previous years when we were losing, they would call us, hey, Coach, we want to get a home and home. We want it because they were beating us. Mm-hmm. Now we're winning, and he says we don't do our schedule until January. And I said, I understand that. That's fine. Just, put us down. We want to be a home and home with you guys. It's good competition. We don't do our schedule until January. And I looked at him. Now, we're supposed to be buddies.
Yeah.
And okay, I understand that. Just put us down. We like to do home and home. So when you're doing your schedule, make sure you give us contact. Tony, we won't be doing it until January. And then it hit me. He didn't want to play us anymore.
Yeah, you got his number. They didn't want to do it.
That was a very satisfying scenario. And then the Iowa-Illinois rivalry. Don't just think it's football at Illinois and basketball at Illinois. It is at every level.
Yeah.
They do not like Illinois anything.
Yeah.
I have experienced it on every level that I've played, D1 to D2 schools in Iowa. They will not play us home and home. None of the schools that I play in Iowa, they only want us to come up there.
Huh. That's interesting.
Oh, it is as deep as you can think. The rivalry for Illinois, Iowa, it is deep and thick in every sport. Any sport that goes up there from Illinois, they hate them.
Yeah. I mean, how much of that is the whole Dion deal, and how much of it and the Bruce Pearl, or was it before that, or is that what really kicked it off, or what do you think it is exactly?
I know that was part of it. If you can go back to the 80s when they had Carfino and we had Eddie Johnson and all those guys, I watched some of those. And again, I start watching games because of the young man saying, hey, are you just on the poster? So I start looking up YouTube games of back in the 80s and the prior to that. And I watched Illinois versus Iowa, 1980, when Iowa, I think, either went to the Final Four or they had a real good team. And Illinois had a hell of a team with Holcomb and Eddie Johnson, Mark Smith, Neil Bresnahan. Those guys played. And it was Terry Raines was on that team. And we ended up losing. But some of the calls that were being made, you would be like, wait a minute. That cannot be a call. But it just was contentious, and you could feel that tension. I'm watching on the computer. You could feel the tension in the tension in the game, as well as the contentiousness of everything. So that to me has been something that's been going on for years. And then the Dion and Bruce Pearl stuff didn't help it at all.
Right. Just kind of kick it into another gear.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Huh. Well, yeah, this is, I love hearing about all your playing and coaching, but if you don't mind, when I was researching you, recently, are you comfortable talking about some of the health issues you had and what's happened here recently? Or?
I have no problem with that at all.
Okay. Well, maybe if you kind of want to start from the beginning of that and explain what's been going on here recently.
Well, let's see, in 2015, actually 2013, we do blood drives here, and I went to do a blood drive donation. And as they were getting ready to take my blood, they were like, I don't think you're going to be able to give. And I was like, why is that? They're like, your iron's too low. And I was like, what would cause that? They're like, you may have anemia or, something you check with your doctor. So I ended up doing a health screen. Everything came back fine. 2014, I was trying to do it again, and they were like, iron's still too low for you to give. And so I was going to go back to the doctor, and I tore my meniscus out here shooting against one of my guys that's playing, just shooting shots. Smart enough not to be playing one-on-one, I'm just shoot some shots. And I jumped, and I heard something pop and found out I tore my meniscus. So was down for a while, did not go for the physical. So from 2013 all the way up to 2015, I did not have a physical, and I usually get one every year. And I'm just a little tired. And I used to do Gus Macker basketball tournaments in the summer, 3-on-3 tournaments, work with them, and then I would always lose weight during that time. But then during the season, I get down to about 180 or so because I'm out in that hot sun working the tournaments. Then in the season, I'm always having fast food, and so I get up to about 190, 193. So far this particular year, 2015, I'm at 182. And I'm like, well, that don't make sense. I'm usually gaining weight, not losing weight. And so I was like, that's kind of weird. And I was a little tired. I mean, there were days I'd come into work and just feel blah. And what ended up happening, and this is again, I love when I say it, but this is a true story. Henson's dedication for his court, I want to say was going to be December 1st, or it was November 31st. It was one of those two. Because I had tickets to go for the dedication. And I came home from work, and I told my wife, Kim, I said, hey, I'm Get your nap, and then I'm going to drive down to Illinois for this dedication. I'll be back. I said, okay, fine. I laid down to sleep. I woke up the next day at 8. She looked at me and she says, something not right. You never moved. You slept all the way through from about, I was going to stay 4 to about 5 something, get a nap, and then drive down for the game at 7. I slept till 8. She said, nah, something ain't right. You need to go see your doctor. I said, I'm fine. And she said, nah. You ain't never just slept from 4 o'clock to 8 o'clock straight. And I was like, well, I have never done that. I go to the doctor, and they tell them what happened. And okay, we're going to do some blood work, kind of see if there's anything off. Blood pressure was 160 over 110. I didn't know what normal was. So what are we doing to you? I'm going to give you some blood pressure medication, but I'm going to take some blood so we can kind of see where everything's at. And they said, we'll be in contact with you in about 3 days. And so the next day, December 2nd, they contacted me. I took my blood pressure medicine. They contacted me and said, you need to get to the emergency room right now. And I'm like, okay, first of all, who is this? They didn't even ask, may I speak to? They just said, you need to get to the emergency room. And I was like, well, first of all, who is this? Oh, I'm sorry, this is the doctor's office. We got your blood work back, and you need to get there. There's some problems with your kidneys. And I said, oh, okay. I'm panicking because I'm not sure what the hell's going on. And what they found was there's bad toxins that are in your system that your kidneys and your bladder, your kidneys are your filter, and it'll filter out those bad toxins. But when the filter's not working, those toxins stay in your system. Symptoms are you're always tired. You'll have protein in your urine, which is you see a lot of bubbles in your urine. And you'll start having acne. And at my age, I should not have acne, but that's the pores of your skin with those toxins in it. I had all of these things going, but I didn't know why. The creatinine is what they had toxins on. And for a normal person with good operating kidneys, the toxins or that creatinine should be at 1, no more than 1.5. When my blood work came back, it was at 14.
Oh, my. Yeah.
And the doctor that met with me said, the toxins that are in your system are that of a 400-pound man. I have no idea why you're alive.
Yeah.
And that hit like a brick. And
yeah.
he said, we are going to start dialysis tomorrow. And it broke me. I was like, wait, stop. Doc, you hit me with too much stuff right now.
Yeah, there's a lot. That's a lot to take in a short amount of time there. So.
Like, this stuff, my kid is so bad that I have to start dialysis. And he was like, or the alternative. And he basically was saying, if you keep going like this, you will die.
Yeah.
They put a cord in my chest. I started doing dialysis in 2015. And then I've had different stints of doing it through my arm. I have been doing it through my belly, which is called peritoneal dialysis. And I had a stent in my arm. And because I'm a bowler, I always tell them, well, whatever you do, you're not doing anything with my right arm. You can do anything you want with my left. Still need to bowl. So,
yeah.
They did what they had to do, and I've had the last one I got is called a fistula, and I had that in, and I went from 2015. I've had some seizures. I've had some other medical issues. Damn near died once. The meds I was taking didn't jive with what I was doing, and I went to the hospital, and my blood pressure was 275 over 130.
Oh, my gosh.
And I blacked out, and I went into a coma, actually. And that was in 2017.
Man.
So it was my body, me not knowing enough about my body and what was happening. So I had to start educating myself on what I was doing. And so ended up doing what they call hemodialysis, which is where I go to the clinic, and they are the professionals, and they do everything. And, from that 215 all the way up until this past year, damn near 9 years, finally got the phone call. And, I had already talked about people donating kidneys, and so I had some feelers, but nothing. And that's another thing. You talk about not talking about me and basketball. That was just something I never really, really talked about. And a lot of people didn't even know I was doing dialysis, but I was still coaching full time.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. That it didn't affect. I mean, never took any time off or anything from coaching during this whole time, or
once I got the port, the first one, I had to take some time off because I didn't know. Hell, I didn't know if I was going to live. I didn't know what. The first day I did dialysis, I was at the hospital and we went down to the basement. And nothing against everybody else that had to do it, but everybody else that was there was indolent. They were people who could not move.
Mm-hmm.
Here I am at, let's see, that was 15, yeah, I'm 40, 48 or something like that, whatever. I know I'm not 50, whatever. And I'm looking at everybody, and I'm thinking, is this what's going to happen to me?
Yeah.
It's my first day, and I'm looking at, and no one else in there can talk and or move. And I'm just like, wow, what in the world is going on? But just because you're not educated, you don't know. So, yeah, it was a unique piece. And then once I educated myself on things I needed to do and how I needed to do them, I'm not going to say it got better, but I learned to manage the things I had to do. And then it was just keep doing it until that call. And I finally got the call on the 16th of March of 2024.
Huh. Man, that's amazing. Well, after all that, I mean, how are you feeling now? I mean, is it, yeah, I mean, I guess that's just my question. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I mean, my blood pressure and everything is monitored. The kidneys are helping with that. Still take some blood pressure medicine. I got some pills I'll take for life because of the kidneys. You don't want it to reject. It's different because for 8.5, almost 9 years, I didn't urinate a lot. But now, at first, this is funny, but the first at home, I had to have a urinal with me because the kidneys were working, but my bladder was not big. When you don't use your bladder, it shrinks.
Right.
So anytime I had a drink, it was like 5-10 minutes later, my kidneys were saying, yeah, let's get rid of that.
Mm-hmm.
I had to have a urinal with me, walking around. I may be talking to somebody and then be like, excuse me, and just have to turn around, and I couldn't help it to the bathroom. But that's how it works. And then they want you to keep drinking water, which is something I continually do to keep flushing at those creatinines and all the bad toxins out of your system. So I see what works and what doesn't work. I can't have a ton of soda. I cannot drink grapefruit drink or grapefruit at all because it works opposite of whatever your meds are or the anti-rejection meds you're taking. So, again, it's about knowing what you can and can't do and then making sure you do the things that they want you to.
Right.
And when I was in dialysis, I had this, and it only happened after my kidneys had failed, was ice. And I would eat cups and cups of ice. And once I got kidney, I haven't had that fetish, if you will, at all. And I've got, my coaches and people around me like, so you don't eat ice anymore? I said, I don't have the inkling to have it anymore. So that was a weird change, but none. And am I feeling good? Yes. Stamina was a little off. It's getting better. And I'm very fortunate that my job, worked with me, and they're supportive of everything that we're doing. So very, very blessed in that sense.
Right. Well, that's a great story. It's also, I can't imagine being in that situation and hearing something that serious just gets thrown at you fast. And a lot of times, and just that word dialysis is kind of a scary word, So, but
people realize and some that have parents and or individuals, relatives, or whatever, that's in some cases 3 times a week for 4 to 4.5 hours.
Yeah.
A machine circulating your blood to get rid of the toxins that is in the system, because your filter's not working the way it should. That takes time, and then when you're done, you may have to get an hour's rest. So I try to do mine as early in the morning as possible. I did on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays. And then there were some Saturdays, because we had games, that I would have to do it on Friday. So I may have to do a Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and then do our game. And the early times were when I was doing dialysis. You got to get used to. There could be fluid gain, and it'll go to your ankles, or it could go, and you can see it in your face that you're drinking too much. So that was the big change. I've got to say that. When you're on dialysis, they want you to drink no more than 32 ounces a day. Once I got the kidney, they wanted me at 64 ounces. So again, they want you more water to get the kidney to flush, but the bladder is not as big, so you're going to the bathroom because you're drinking a lot of water and things a lot.
Yeah.
And they got me up to almost 80 ounces of water a day.
Yeah.
Now I'm back down up range. The creatinine for me, when I went to the hospital, and this is just part of it, when I went to the hospital to get the transplant, I was at 7.8 as far as the creatinine in my system. The 3 days I was at the hospital, it went from 7.8, 6.4, 5.5, and when I went home, it was at 4.7. They want, because they would love it to be at 1.5 or 1, but they're like, for you in your situation, anything below 2 is where we want you at. And I've been maintaining in the 1.75 to 1.9. So we do labs every 2 weeks, and I meet the doctors every 3 weeks. So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, that'll move out to, hopefully they said, once a month. And that's the goal, to get to once a month labs, once a month meeting with the doctor.
Right. A couple things with that too, like, you're doubling the amount of liquids they want you to drink, so that's a huge adjustment, to have to do right away. Other thing I was thinking too, did your players know about all this or no?
In 2015-16, they knew I was sick. They just didn't know what was happening. So I literally came to practice and I lifted up my shirt and told them, look, I'm trying to be here and I'm going through this. So I need you to fight as well.
I was going to say, the least you can do is cut the bait, box out,
It may have been a coaching ploy, but I was trying to let them know that I'm still here fighting. I'm still get over here. And even though I was off for a little bit, I'm still looking at film and I'm still trying to figure out how we can beat this team and whatever. So the guys within those 8.5 years, some knew, some didn't. All my coaches knew. And of course my staff knew, the staff here knew. And then, once I had the transplant, everybody just waiting for me to get back to work. And I came back on the 29th and did about 3 hours. Because, again, the stamina, it's better. And, I'm doing longer days now. But that first week, 2-3 hours. And going up steps and walking. Because I was just in the house for 6 weeks. And I didn't do a lot of walking at all. I'm sitting and watching TV, playing Madden, and doing stuff I hadn't done for years.
Mhm. Well, obviously, I'm glad you're feeling better, and glad finally got the transplant. It's great, and it sounds like just something you guys got to keep fighting, just managing it and things like that. And
yeah,
yep,
that is the key. Got to manage it and keep doing the things you're supposed to do, and then when they check and do the lab work, you check it, and hopefully everything's in order.
Yep. And just hasn't affected your coaching either. What is it? You're a lifer. What is it about basketball that it's like? I mean, you're a lifer. Somebody that didn't know anything about basketball or anything about it, like what'd you say? What is it that makes it so kind of addicting? I guess is the word. But
for me, and I can't speak for everybody, but for me, I love to analyze. So when I see something on the court or I see another team playing, like I it's hard for me to go to a high school game, even though I may be recruiting, but not to analyze what a team should be doing or what they could be doing. And for me, that's the key. Coach Henson preached defense and rebounding, and so my first thing is trying to figure out a way, how can I stop them? What they want to do, and what can I take away from them? I tell my guys every year, my goal is to beat somebody 72-0. They laugh, of course, and I said, well, y'all laugh. I'm serious. That would be a hell of a time if you could keep somebody scoreless, and then find out I'm serious. The other piece of that, and I tell this story as well, once you cross that line, be on that court, everything changes. I don't have any friends out here. If I'm playing my brother, and what I use, and I ask this question because it'll tell me what I have as a 14. Ask one question: would you dunk on your mom? And if I have 2 or 3 guys that I think are going to help us, and those 2 or 3 tell me, oh, no, I would never do that to my mom, we're going to have a problem. We're not going to have a good season. But if I get 90, 95% of the guys, oh, hell yeah, I dunk on her.
Mm-hmm.
I prefer my dad, my brother, yeah, easily. I know we got something.
Yeah.
Because I tell them, my grandmother, when she was alive, she was in a wheelchair, and she rolled that ball out to me, and I go to the basket, and I accidentally hit the wheelchair, and she falls over. Fellas, I'm going to finish the layup first. I'm going to make the layup. Then I'm going to come back and be, hey, Mama, you all right? Let me help you up. I said, if you are the type that you run into your mom or your dad or your grandmother, and then you stop to help them up and then recheck the ball, then you're not serious enough for me. So when you cross that line, you don't have any friends. I don't care if it's your mom or your dad or your best friend, because the thing that I'm trying to get to is you're going to be playing some of your friends. And if you're going to be nice to your friends and you're going to be nice to guys on the team when you cross that line and not competitive, we're not going to win the big games. We'll win some games because we're talented. But I need you to come every night, and when you cross that line, you don't have any friends out there. I'm not talking about you going to fight somebody, but I want you to compete.
Mm-hmm.
You can't dunk on your mom. We're not going to win games.
That's right.
And we have guys that, to this day, I'll ask them, so you still want to dunk on your mom? No, Coach, I couldn't do that. All right, that's fine.
You want guys that got some of that dog in them, You want guys that are, yeah, absolutely.
Like I said, every team, I tell them, if my grandmother throws the ball out and somehow she's trying to guard me and she falls, or I bump into her and she falls, I'm not stopping until I make a layup.
That's right.
Go back and check on Mom.
Yeah.
That's how it is. That's how I am when I cross that line. Now, before we go across that line, I'm going to hug my grandmother. I'm going to kiss her on the cheek, and I love you, and this. And then she says, check up. Okay, let's go. It's mentality. And some kids have it, some kids don't. And like
Right.
if it's 95% of your team, oh, yeah, I dunk on it easily. Then you're going to have something. I had a team where we had like half the team say, oh, no, I would never do that. And I was like, we're going to have a tough year. We did.
Yeah. Too nice. Can't be nice out there.
Exactly.
Yeah. I was going to ask you too here at the, whenever I wind these up, usually I got my son's 7 and I've been having him ask everybody. I've been having on a question. So do you mind if I grab him real quick just so you can ask
Oh, no
you something?
problem.
All right, hang on. Let me see what we got here. Hey, Stevie. Come here, buddy. What's up, Tony? Hi.
Hi.
What's up, Steve? How you doing?
Good.
Good.
Yeah, you got a question for him?
What's your favorite NBA team?
Ooh. Well, I guess they call me a little bit of a front runner because when Jordan was playing, I liked the Bulls. When Kobe was playing, I then went to the Lakers. And I have been following LeBron not last couple of years, but since he was at Cleveland and then here at L.A. And, of course, I've liked the Golden State teams. So I kind of like good basketball. I like guys with IQ for the game. So I'm a Lakers fan right now with LeBron. I'm still saying I don't know if they can win a championship if LeBron's not going to play defense for
him that because I tell him that all the time.
For them to win because of the way they play, with him with the ball most of the time, he's got to be able to play defense at a level that is I'm going to hustle back as well as everybody else. Everybody has a role, but he's got to put more effort, him and Anthony, for them to win. But Lakers, I would say, are my team, but it's because the IQ that LeBron has, I love the IQ that Kobe had, as well as Jordan. And I love Jordan's competitiveness. So that would be my team.
All right. Very good. What are you telling, buddy? But well, yeah, this has been great, man. Like I said, I've said this several times, but what I love when I talk to these former Illini is everybody's got a different story, and everybody's got, I mean, as far as how they got there, what they've been doing since those days and everything, and I just eat it up, man. I love it. So, and your story's amazing and very inspiring as well. So I'm just thrilled that you came on, bud.
Okay, well, thank you again.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll be in touch. And again, thanks for coming on, bud.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.